Have you ever encountered this situation? If you have, you might be surprised to know the people who designed that shower aren't playing twisted mind games. They probably just weren't aware of some basic principles of design. Designers of things that people use typically have the goal of making those things usable. But for them to be usable, people need to understand how to use them. So when designing a product, it's really important to think about how to best communicate its instructions through the design of the thing itself. During this video, we'll go through 3 design concepts that might help do that. Let's go back to the shower. When you're faced with using something that you're not sure how to use, you need to make some guesses about how to use it. Those guesses are often based on looking at the device and then considering some prior experiences you've had with similar things, or even maybe human anatomy. For example, if the device has a round knob, you might think to pull or push it. If it has an elongated feature that's roughly the size of your hand, you might think that it's a handle that can be turned right or left. These physical features of the design are called affordances. Affordances are discovered through figuring out what actions you can do with the device. Good design, therefore, takes aspects of the design like its shape and size into consideration and should make the intended action obvious without a lot of trial and error. Good design also considers the limitations in the actions that you can try with the device. These are called constraints. Designing in a constraint to limit which direction and how far the tap can turn can prevent turning the handle around and around and around until scalding hot water suddenly becomes ice cold. Constraints eliminate certain affordances, creating a boundary that will shape what actions are available. Finally, if shape, size, and limitations aren't enough to effectively communicate how to use the device, good design might include something like a symbol or an explicit label. These are called signifiers. In the shower, a signifier might be something like an arrow that tells you which direction will turn the water on and which will make it hotter. Signifiers provide explicit instructions so that even inexperienced users can use the device. Signifiers help bridge the gap when affordances and physical constraints alone aren't sufficient to convey the correct use of device. So to recap, in design, affordances tell you what actions are possible, constraints limit the ways that you can go wrong, and signifiers give you clear indications of how to use the object. The application of affordances, constraints, and signifiers in device design ideally leads to the ability of users to understand how to use a device just by looking at it. At Research Collective, we work with medical devices, so that means we spend a lot of our time considering the design of products that, if used incorrectly, could lead to harm. We've found that some devices, though, are so well designed that they can be easy to use even for someone that's never used it before. Consider the design of a typical syringe. The shape and the size of the barrel flange lets you know where to place your fingers when drawing fluid out of a vial. Plunger flange is designed to fit comfortably under your thumb during injections, providing a natural place for you to apply pressure. The rubber stopper at the end of the plunger constrains the ability to pull the plunger out too far, and the transparent barrel is clearly marked with volume indicators, allowing you to measure the liquid inside accurately. But syringes weren't always designed this way. Without an understanding of some of these basic design principles, using a syringe might be as complicated as turning on a shower. By considering affordances, constraints, and signifiers, designers can create more intuitive and user-friendly products and help prevent frustration or even harm.